Hello, guys. So today I'm going to be doing a review on Duke. I like to call him the Duker because of the damage level he can do. So he is one of the two light legends in mid, and depending on how you build him, he can actually even be used as a center mid. So let's get into him. His right position is on the left mid side. He has a lot of power, vitality, technique, but my managers kind of help him a lot. And he's not even max up and doesn't have any transcend, so he still has a lot of room for improvement. Now, on a skill level, there's a lot of reasons why he's really cool. First of all, his active is really nice. For each target, it's going to increase attack power by 80% and reflex by 30, meaning that if you put him in mid or there's a co-op defense, you can just activate this and basically just crush them. This is really good in COT or in COD because whenever you have an issue, you can activate that who can actually make him basically powerful enough to just beat the living crap out of everyone on the other side. And if it doesn't even work, he got more reflex, so it's still working. Now, for the second skill, Forgotten Power, it's a really good skill, but compared to his other skill, I would say it's the worst. Who's ironic, because this is really good. Increase critical rate and critical damage by 40%, meaning you're gonna crit, and you're actually gonna hit hard. Knowing that he's meant to be put in midline, it's basically gonna always activate. Now we're combining this with something called Loki Strict 2. I don't like the fact they changed the way the skills were named, but irrelevant of that. Increase reflex and critical rate by 30% if in the position. I would say this is the very first skill you need to max out, and it's going to help basically any midline, because again, this is going to mean that even players who are not crit rate based are going to have a decent chance to crit and some decent reflex boost all in a single line buff. Now, for a lot of you who, well, not a lot of you, but for those who own Jiho, using him as ace could make this even more OP. And then the second skill to max out, who is also OP, increase penetration by 50% and decrease incoming damage by 50%. Both of those are really great for a simple reason. They mean he's going to take half the damage and he's going to do half more damage to the opponents. So basically, he has penetration, he has decreased incoming damage, he's a reflex line buffer, he's a critical line buffer, he's got critical rate, critical damage, and an active that's going to increase attack power and reflex when attacking. So all combined, it just gives him such a great kit. You want to 7-star him just to get all of those skill points, and I'm pretty sure I might even do that. Now, on the stone level. So this is what we call a COD Duke, or a center mid Duke. The idea here is instead of using a reflex build or a pure damage build, we're aiming for a survival build. What I mean by that is we have the Dark Critical Stone in the center slot. Again, these are actually very well-rolled stones, except I think for the reflex I can't remember correctly. But the idea with the Duke is to get the highest amount of dribble, decrease damage. A bit of the other stuff is also nice, but the idea here is that he's going to have enough decreased damage to take a beating, and his damage is going to be increased enough so that in 1 or 2 shots he can penetrate. Now the second one is Encompassing Soul. I want to say that since the second part has been added, this is extremely powerful in PvE. Because it's going to increase critical damage, which is pretty cool for him, but you're going to recover 10% of your attack first when being attacked or when attacking, because he's always going to crit, and then there's another 20% calculated after damage. So there's just going to be some healing going on over and over again with this. And again, all the subs on this stones are just all really great. Dribble, action speed, crit rate, receive, reflex. Nothing's to be lost. I'd say if the receive would change to reflex, it wouldn't be bad. But the way I'm going to use him in COD, it actually is better. Then we have a little reflex stone. Not reflex, I mean critical rate. Again, more healing, more decreased damage, more receive, more drib, more pen, more defense. Again, nothing to be lost. And then we got the reflex, so I'd say is the worst one of his stones, who's kind of ironic, because again, it's very nice. The only thing it has that's useless is critical resistance, because he's not going to need it. Now, there are other builds you could build him around, who are also pretty good. I'm not saying the opposite. The other build who would make the most sense, he has 2 light and 1 dark. So you could also build him for reflex, making the prime slot another reflex stone. You could go for and or light, But again, he's going to heal so much, it doesn't seem that important. As long as you leave 1 dark crit damage, you shouldn't even have to worry about this, and you could throw an SOB. So that's also a really great stone to throw on him. Some people have actually tried to throw some Fontus tissue sample because they decided not to put any reflex stones. That is also an option. Or you could go Essence of Greed to be sure he's going to attack a lot. All of these are going to work. The stones that work for him are basically Dribble, Crit Rate, Reflex, Dark Critical Damage, Dark Penetration, Dark Speed. Those are basically the stones you want on him. You can throw and or Reflex. That's basically it. You don't need to reroll his colors at all. The only reason you'd reroll them is if you want more dark slots, who's kind of ironic, but that's really the only reason one would reroll his slots. Now, maybe I'll do that eventually, because I would love to have, as a build, the Encompassing Soul, a Dark Critical Damage on top, a Light Reflex, and a Light Reflex in the Prime slot. That would be even cooler, because Critical Rate doesn't actually make that much of sense. Now, on a chain level, he's extremely nice because he has a chain with the legendary Beth. So that's an affection chain, and well, as you know, I basically own all light legends, so this works really nicely because that's going to make him even stronger, and plus it increases life, who, if you know, the healing from critical damage is limited to 50% of the max life of a player, so increasing the life itself increases the value of critical damage healing. This friendship chain is pretty bad unless you're running hero. All the other ones are useless. This Nemesis chain is bad, but I'm just completing it for the principle. And this is actually a really good rival chain. It has Choi, who I'm thinking of maybe adding to my team when I get the D stones, depend what the light and dark legends are. So it's actually pretty cool too. He himself is in the chains of the strongest light defender in backline, Cheetos. So if you're running him, or if you have him and you're running a lightish team, it's a great idea to make the combo. Eventually I will do it, but Cheetos needs more investment first. On a skin level, I'm going to say I'm really not a fan of his first skin. His second skin gets decent, but I really love the third one. So I'm just going to keep it there. Now, I usually do some PvP gameplay when I actually own the units. But instead of doing that, I've decided to do something a little bit more fun, because basically if I put Duke in PvP, all you're going to see is him taking the ball, him penetrating and making a pass. If they try attack him, they'll instantly die and he'll pass in front. It's basically all that's going to happen if I do that. So instead, I've decided to do something who I know a lot of you have had a lot of troubles with. Coliseum of Despair. So I'm going to be doing later on some videos on trials. I worked a lot on maxing those out. So 35 is the leader one, that's why I stopped. Now Despair 36. So I know a lot of us are stuck on this fight. I mean, I used to be stuck until I started setting up Duke correctly. So what you're basically going to want to do is look at their team. You're going to realize the front line. If it goes there, you've basically lost. This formation can work against them. And we're just going to try to take them out old school style, because Reflex just doesn't seem to work. So the idea here is going to be to really max out on Duke Stoning, who's basically going to make him immortal, and sadly we don't even start at the ball. That's not really great. Let's see what this gives. So again, for a light dark team, this is basically the meta of the center mid. The only difference is one could also own a Celestia here. So then the idea is basically going to be that you just want Duke to hold the ball with pass effect at the same time. Because all they're going to do, especially at the beginning, is they're going to try to steal the ball from him. Because you can see he's barely receiving any damage and he's not even the one attacking. And the minute they actually hit him, because of the 10% heal, he's back at 100%. And the use of Beth is basically that when I actually get to the front line, I'm going to be able to act before the opponent. Yeah, see, they're already starting to chicken out on me. And the good part about this is that also they won't try to penetrate Metatron. So since she's going to be squishy later on in the levels, it's actually pretty nice. And when they do try to penetrate her, it won't be that dangerous. So at this point, I could even give it to Metatron to penetrate, but this is the entire point of Duke. And now when you get to this point, if you've actually gone to this fight, you're going to realize very fast that you can't take Angela out. The only way to actually take her out is if you go in 1v1 or if you got a Vonchi and you can do the 5 stanks with SOB. So I'm actually going to penetrate this. My entire objective is to take out Yuri. Because the minute I do that, then it actually becomes a doable fight. And this is why I was using Metatron and Beth in mid, just because like this, I'm going to be able to run all of this at first. There's a very low chance I can keep the ball in front line, and this is why I just decide to use all the actives and all the power I can at the very beginning. So again, Vonchi is a utility striker, so he'll get stronger with time. Exactly, he's just going to be taken out by literally any player. Any player is going to take the other players out. That's kind of what happens. And again, the Duker did his thing. Metatron was there, and she's going to be able to heal back our players. It just works out somehow. Yeah, anyone who gets penetrated in this front line is going to die, so there's no real point. Oh, this is a bad sign. Yeah, the entire dream of this thing is that when the ball comes front, you pass it to Uriel. Well, they pass it to Uriel. Like that, you actually have a chance. Yeah, I was going to activate this just in case. So I might have actually failed this try. But again, the method I use to actually beat this fight is basically to let them fight among themselves in the front line and get taken out by Duke. As you notice, Duke is not the one who got taken out, it was Metatron. If only I could use active heal, we could actually win this, but that's not going to happen. So I hope this gives you basically an idea on how the Duker works. And I'll do a COD 36 where I take it actually a little bit more seriously, not just trying to show off Duke. And yeah, I hope this helps you get an idea of his value. If you need any other video or you have any questions about him, just leave a comment in the description and be sure to subscribe. Have a good day, guys.